Oh, hello. Good morning, friends. Happy Friday. Happy Friday. We made it. I'm noticing as I do this that my neck is a little crimped up today. Oh, it's so interesting as we wait for folks to come in. Just to check in for a second. On Wednesday night, I did like a hey Kim, um, hey Nikki. I'm looking in two places because Instagram is here and Facebook is here. So just checking in really briefly, on Wednesday evening I did a brief shamanic journey, which is it's all drum based, and so the idea behind it, right, is that in many ancient cultures and some modern ones, that you could ride the vibrations of the drum into a slightly altered reality where we could meet with guides and find information. And so on Wednesday night, we did a journey holding the question, I don't remember exactly, but something like, where can I find support to help navigate these times of uncertainty? And the two answers that came to me were through the breath, through connecting with the breath, and through connection with the earth. And when I asked how I could cultivate connection with those things, hey Martine, hey Julia, when I asked for how I could cultivate connection with those supports, it was literally breathe consciously and put your feet on the earth. And so yesterday I was feeling like incredibly constricted and really, really sad, and feeling just a lot of grief moving through. And even though I'd gotten such a clear message that those two resources were there to support me, I didn't do either of those things. I didn't breathe consciously, and there's some beautiful grass right outside, and I didn't go put my feet on the earth. I kind of curled on the couch under a weighted blanket, which is fine. I mean, this is a great time to do that. And then this morning I just did breath work for a few minutes before popping on here, and all of that heaviness I've been feeling just dissipated. So I don't know why I'm sharing that, except to share that I think it's interesting that sometimes we know the exact tools and resources that will help us navigate a moment that might be challenging or heartbreaking. And for whatever reason, we don't avail ourselves of those. So maybe the invitation is to remember some of the really simple supports that are there for us all the time, because the world outside of us is so complex right now. Sometimes, hey Becca, good morning. Sometimes it can be just powerful to go back to the simplicity of the breath and connection with the earth. All right, let's start, as we always do, with a poem from our friend Hafez, the ecstatic Sufi poet from the 13th century, who has made his way to us today on April 3rd. Very short poem today. This one's called I Had a Legitimate Excuse. I had a legitimate excuse for not going to the mosque and temple to pray. It was because love is so wild in me, I might break the fragile glass cage that all religions are made of. That's the whole poem. I'm going to read it again because I kind of love it. I had a legitimate excuse for not going to the mosque and temple to pray. It was because love is so wild in me that I might break the fragile glass cage that all religions are made of. So what's resonating, I like to let the poem sit for a second. What's resonating for me in it is this idea that inside of us we all contain this wildness, and that many of the structures, religious or otherwise, of our world have been put in place to tamp down a more natural, wild way of being, where wild doesn't necessarily mean going off into the woods and howling, but really is being connected to our deeper selves and our true selves. I'll also share very briefly that this really resonates with something that happened to me when I was, I think, 11 or 12, and I went to Hebrew school to ostensibly study Judaism, but none of it made sense to me. It just felt like a lot of empty structures. It felt like a lot of rituals, and nobody explained these rituals, and it was awful. And I remember one day I wrote in the margins of the prayer book, right, which is a sacred text, because the prayer was something about, oh God, see how we love you, et cetera, and so on. And I think what I wrote is, this is bullshit. If we don't actually feel this way, then won't God actually know that? Aren't we then lying to God? Something like that. It was not very well stated. But I think the idea, what I was craving in that moment, and I didn't express it very well, was some kind of legitimate, deep connection with the divine, with that inner wildness that we all carry. So there, little personal story for you this morning. Yeah, so let's take that idea of connecting with wild love and our wild selves into the meditation this morning and the grounding and connection, and see where it takes us. So just take a moment to sit or stand or lay down in a way that feels comfortable to you on this Friday morning or afternoon. And if it feels comfortable for you, you can close your eyes. And if that's not comfortable, you can just kind of soft focus down towards the floor. And we'll just begin by bringing some gentle attention to the breath. Being very aware as you inhale that this is you inhaling. And very aware as you exhale that this is you exhaling. And as you inhale, start to bring awareness that you're not just bringing air into the body, you're also taking energy, inviting energy from the external world into the ecosystem of your body. So just take a nice deep breath in. And on the exhale, bringing awareness that as we release the carbon dioxide, it's not just breath, it's also energy that we're sharing with the world. And so just bringing that level of awareness, energy in, it moves through the body, and energy out. And everybody all together, just take a nice deep breath in. And release it with a gentle sigh. Good, and with that we can invite ourselves a little bit more into our bodies. So just allowing your weight to settle, allowing gravity to work a little bit more, pulling us down towards the earth. If I really feel into that, it's almost like I can feel a weighted belt across my hips, just gently pressing me down to the earth. And you can feel the weight of your shoulders and the head on top of your neck. Noticing that the more weight we allow ourselves to feel, the more we surrender to gravity, then the more support the earth can offer to us. And take a nice deep breath in. And release with a gentle sigh. It can be such a relief to just give up a little bit of the weight we've been carrying. And we can just, with a gentle attention, bring our awareness to the very top of our head, maybe an inch or two above the crown of the head, and just do a light body scan. So working your way with a very gentle attention down through the muscles of your forehead and your eyeballs, your cheeks, noticing as you go any place that feels very alive and vibrant, maybe even tingly this morning, open, And also noticing those places that may feel constricted or tight or tired as we work our way down through the throat and the upper back and the chest and the solar plexus and the belly, down through the hips, and down through the thighs, the calves, all the way to the bottom of your feet. Good, and just take a nice deep breath in and release. So in this space, as we continue to settle in a little bit, I'll just ask a question and let it move through you. And the question is, if you could freely express your wild self, how would you do so? What would that look and feel like? And again, the wild self isn't necessarily running naked through the woods, although it may be. The wild self is really you at your most you, with no hindrance, no structures, no external responsibilities or pressures, except those that you choose freely. So just as an experiment, how would your wild self express if you allowed it to do so? And an interesting way to play with a question like this is to just open up space for the answer to come through instead of trying to figure it out or go from a place of what we would want it to be. You see if you can create a space almost like you've created a circle on the ground in front of you, and the response can rise up from the earth, or maybe there's even a body of water there. Noticing as we open this space for the wild self to emerge, any colors that come to you, or images, or even memories of moments where you felt closest to your wild self. And as sensations may come to you, or images, flashes, see if you can just observe them for what they are and feel them for what they are without judging or labeling. And it can be really fun and powerful to just repeat the question. If I let it, how would my wild self express? If I could freely do so, how would I express my wild self? And as you breathe into this, wherever you are with it, you can just imagine turning up the volume on the wild self a little bit, so it's almost like if it were a little light or a little energy or a small image. When we turn up the volume or intensity, maybe it fills your whole body with this sense of untamed wildness. And you can play with really breathing into that. And if it starts to feel like it's too much, you can just turn down the intensity a little bit until it feels navigable and full. And in a moment, we'll take a nice deep breath together. And when we do on the exhale, just imagine sharing this wildness, however much of it you've connected with the world. Putting this energy that is uniquely yours, that is a unique expression of your being and your creativity and your soul. Just imagine through the breath, sharing it with the world. So here we go. Nice deep breath in. And release. And again, nice deep breath in. And release. And last time, nice deep breath in. And then the exhale, just sharing your energy and your wildness with the world. Beautiful. Yeah, and you can open your eyes and come on back. Welcome. Welcome back, friends. My whole body's buzzing. So curious how that went for you. That's a question that I use sometimes in storytelling classes or with coaching or healing clients to help them get in touch with kind of like the deeper story that's been wanting to express through their lives. I've never done it in this way before, and it was really powerful. So thank you for playing along. And so we will move towards ending our time together this morning, as always with a pull from the Wild Unknown Archetype deck. The box looks like this. It's really beautiful. Created by Kim Krantz. And the question that's coming up for me, for us as a group, however many of us there are right now, is how can we collectively connect with that sense of wildness, with that sense of kind of deeper self and soul as we move through the world, both today and going forward, because there's so much pressure right now from all different sides, and it may be that connecting with that wildness will be really important in helping us get through it. So just asking a question of the Archetype deck, and here's a card that wants to play with us. And I've never gotten this one. This is so exciting. If you've been watching these, you know that like the same three cards always come up. So in connecting with a sense of wildness, the card that comes up is the fault line. The fault line. And I'd love to like look at this image, especially since this is a new one to me, and see what I notice. And the first thing that stands out to me is just the power of the crack down the center, that larger crack, to send out ripples and veins into the rest of it. So just notice what you notice about it, and I will XLIX. I will read it, the fault line. The fault line is the fissure, the crack, the weak link. Imagine walking across a frozen lake that begins to crack before your eyes. No matter how optimistic and brave you might be, panic ensues. You become fearful and tense and long for stable ground. Such is the energy of the fault line. It's the energy of walking on eggshells, of precarious dynamics, of sensing what is ready to break open into chaos. It is likely this cracking open is overdue as fault lines develop slowly and naturally from underlying elemental pressures. This card comes as a potent warning not to deny the shakiness that's afoot. I'm going to read that one again because that seems relevant to these times. This card comes as a potent warning not to deny the shakiness that's afoot. It's much better to prepare yourself for change than to walk along the fault line pretending that all is well. There is no easy fix for the situation at hand. It will require a foundational shift that alters the current dynamics from the ground up. When light, redefining reality, and breaking open, when dark, precariousness, pretending, and delusion. Well, I mean, this is sort of nuts. How relevant this is. I'm good. How are you? So if I layer this over, and I'll post this in the comments, if we layer this over that question of where we can find and embrace wildness, then it's in the very instability that we are all experiencing. There may be a temptation to, man, and I've seen this so much working with a lot of groups and clients right now, kind of the idea that by imposing enough structure, we can control what's going on. And that's not a thing. It's not working. So the invitation in the fault line, and actually in the Hafez poem from earlier, is to embrace the wildness of the unknown and to look for those places where we feel perhaps most strained and most cracked, and in a way that's safe for us, find a way to break open. And in that breaking open, connect with the wildness that's connected very maybe secretly to the deeper energy of the collective or of the planet or of the universe. And that by connecting with that in this moment of uncertainty, we may find new paths that redefine our reality. And each of us, the beautiful thing I think is that each of us does that in a totally unique way that nobody else can do. And it's up to us always, and particularly perhaps in this moment, to find that, to find our way to it. Thank you, as always, for being here. I think that's a good place to leave it. That got deep real fast. We'll be here tomorrow, Saturday morning at 7:30 a.m. As always, if you need a little grounding and connection, feel free to join. And also these live at storyandspirit.org/meditations. I've got them divided by month, because there are quite a few of them now. Thank you, deep gratitude for spending a little time together this morning, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.